So every video starts out with an awkward silence of like, oh wait, did I click the button? Are we live? Is this
We're
going?
live now. Hello, Brandon.
We're live. That brings up something that probably don't want to mention
All
on
right. Well,
here.
hello. Welcome to Office Hours with Colin Mustful and usually Melissa Makarewicz. Melissa had to bow out at the last minute, so I asked my twin brother, Brandon Mustful, to join us for Office Hours. Brandon is not a writer per se, but he does run a small business, and I'm very interested in talking to him about his business.
Yeah, thanks for inviting me and for having me. Can you see, is it possible for me to see how many people are watching this, or do I not have that capability on my end?
Well, don't worry about it. Right now, Swapna and Lisa are here. Hello, Swapna. Hello, Lisa. Lisa
Okay.
says, "Hi, nice to meet you, Brandon."
Thanks. Cool. Nice to meet you too, Lisa.
Well, Lisa or Swapna, thanks for joining us. If you have a question at any point, go ahead and pop it in the chat. I will be monitoring that. It can be about writing, publishing, book marketing, or it could just be about us and our relationship as twins, if you really want to go that route. Well, let's start, Brandon, with what you do, Mustful Strategic Consulting. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about, first of all, consulting is a pretty broad term. I feel like it could apply to just about anything. So can you define that for us first and then tell us how you got into that?
Well, yeah, you're right. Consulting is a broad term. It has a lot of different connotations depending on who you're talking to. So essentially, I work with nonprofit and church professionals. It could be for-profit business professionals as well, and help them make a plan, help them get from where they are to where they want to be, get organized. One of the biggest obstacles that leaders face is just getting through the daily grind, all the little operational stuff that happens every day, and you get kind of lost in that, and you forget about what you're really trying to achieve in the long term. So I help those people refocus and make a plan on how to get where they want to go.
Well, since our audience is made up of a lot of writers, and writers are basically their own business, how do you imagine the services you provide maybe would correlate with what independent authors do?
Well, you're right. I don't know much about writing. I remember in elementary school though how they taught us to write, and you create an outline and you create a format and you kind of bring things together into that. You have to have this view from above, and that is what I help business owners, nonprofit leaders do. Is that view from above or the view from the balcony where you're looking at the big picture and there's a lot of things going on down there looking from above, but you can do that stuff, you can see that stuff, like with your writers, you're probably developing your storyline, your characters, but the whole time you have to keep that end in mind. What are we trying to actually accomplish through this book, through this article, whatever it is that you're writing?
You actually helped me create a mission, vision, and value statement. It wasn't until 3 years, 4 years into my business that I had that. So that's an interesting nugget there that you have helped me with that. Tell them what happened while I was working on that. Do you remember?
Well, mostly I just remember you mocking and ridiculing me
No,
because
I did not mock you. I'm talking about when we were traveling to New York.
you think that all I do is ask questions. I don't really provide any kind of service,
Yes,
but
that's true.
apparently somewhere in your soul you recognize that I helped a little bit. And I don't remember specifics, but I remember you telling me, we were there in New York, you're telling me about
No,
some of
it
your
was at
stuff.
the airport. I was trying to write my mission and vision statements. I was
Oh,
so locked in.
okay.
Go ahead.
Well, I guess I don't, like I said, I don't remember specifics, but but
I was gonna miss the flight. You had to yell across the airport.
oh. Now I remember. Yeah, we were boarding the plane and you were gone. You were nowhere to be found. I had to yell. Yeah, okay, I remember that.
Yeah, so I was working on my mission and vision and value statement based on the advice of my brother, and I had gone to a different gate to find some peace and quiet, and I missed out on the fact that our plane was leaving. I didn't hear the announcements, And Brandon screamed at the top of his lungs because he didn't know where I was. So luckily he was willing to do that.
Yeah, yeah, which I don't think that's advisable to yell really loudly in an airport.
Probably not.
Nobody tackled me though.
We did get a question. Swapna asks me, what am I reading right now? So I just finished the book I was telling you about, Secrets of the Millionaire Mind. This is the third time I've read it, and it's to help me overcome my money blueprint, like all of the assumptions I had about how money works, and uh, that I had to I'm trying to unlearn based on what I learned growing up, and it's been very interesting. I also just finished The Once and Future Queen by Paula Lafferty, and that's going to be for our book club that we are doing on Monday. Brandon, I know you're reading a book. Do you want to tell us what you're reading?
Well, I have this in arm's reach here. So I just finished reading this one up. It's called How Consultants Shape Nonprofits. Trying to see, Reisman is the author. Um, she did some research. She kind of went into some different nonprofit consultant agencies and saw how they worked, and she pointed out a lot of the biases that exist. She pointed out kind of how they, without even knowing it, influence the overall decisions of nonprofit leaders. And it challenges you as a consultant to take a step back, look at your biases, and try to try to help them without influencing them just based on your own perspective, but letting them make the decisions that are going to be best for them based on their own perspective and what they already know.
Yeah, guiding them in the right direction.
Yeah, yeah. So it was really helpful, really interesting. I enjoyed it a lot.
Well, we have a couple more people that have joined us. Dave, so hello to Dave. Hello to Joanna. You are seeing my brother, my twin brother Brandon is with us, not Melissa. Melissa had something else come up and wasn't able to join us for office hours, so I invited my brother, who's the founder of Mustful Strategic Consulting.
Yeah. Hey, what was it, Dave and Joanna?
Yeah.
Thanks for joining us.
Well, let's talk about I've done about 12 interviews in the last 3 days for internships and had some observations about the challenges for both them and for me.
Yeah. Well, so you mentioned to me that you had like 150 applicants. Is that right?
Yeah, I put up an announcement on, I think, June 6th. I opened applications on June 8th for a fall internship. It's a $250 stipend, so more or less, unpaid. And I'm not going to say the post went viral, but it got a lot of attention, and I ended up receiving 155 applications for our fall internship.
Yeah, that's pretty crazy. Um, I don't know. I mean, it must have a lot of reach to get that many applicants.
Well, it's fascinating that how many qualified applicants are out there, and I found the same thing. The whole reason I have this press is because I was in the same position as these applicants were. I had graduated with a Master of Fine Arts degree in creative writing in 2019. I had gone to the Career Center many times to try and figure out how do I find work, and I just did not have the patience at that time in my late 30s to say I'm going to go through the years long application process to try and get my foot in the door somewhere. And so I just started my own press, History Through Fiction.
Yeah, I remember you talking to me about these different career counselors you would see, and they'd be like, "Well, have you done this? And you should try this, and you should try that, and everything." You were like, "Yeah, here I did this, I did that,"
Yeah.
and then they were always like, "Hmm, that's a pickle."
Yeah, it can be very frustrating for anyone who's trying to build up their qualifications and build up their resume, do this internship, do that volunteer work, publish this book or essay, and then you think, oh, this is the perfect fit, I'm the perfect fit, and then it still doesn't work out. And, I experienced that going all the way back to 2007 when I got my Master of Arts in History. And so that's why I had kind of a short leash as far as what I would do next. And I very naively started my own business, but it's been it's been challenging, and I still have those student loans to pay, but it's been very rewarding as well.
Yeah. So what has been your process then? How in the world do you sift through 150 applicants?
Well, at first I was like, I can't, and I'll just pick 30 at random because most of them are qualified, and I'm only looking to hire one anyways. But I couldn't get myself to do that. I'm like, well, they spent the time putting together application materials. I have to look at them. So I created a spreadsheet and I went through them one by one, starting with the earliest to the most recent, and I read their cover letters, or at least skimmed their cover letters. I skimmed their resumes. I looked at their writing sample because I required a writing sample as well. And then I just decided kind of a yes, maybe, definitely kind of a process. And for a lot of the people that I initially said yes to, it was too many. For those definitelys and like most definitelys, it ended up being about 20. And so I invited those 20 to interview, and I set up the interviews so that they're only 15 minutes long. And I also included onboarding questions so that I could kind of filter them even further through that process. And now I've been doing interviews, and in the interviews I spend 5 to 10 minutes putting together notes on who this person is, what I can talk to them about. And it's been going well, but kind of like what I was talking about earlier, a lot of them are just so capable and so qualified, and I wish I could give them all jobs, but I can't do that. So then what I think it comes down to is, well, it's kind of surreal because these people are very much looking up to me and very much seeing this as a wonderful opportunity. That it's something that I created from scratch. And I think it's less about whether or not they're capable or whether or not this is a good opportunity. For me, it's about them being a good fit. For them, I think it's more about who they are as a person, that even if I'm not able to give them this internship now, I don't think they have to go out and find another internship somewhere or another entry level position. I think they can continue to pursue their passions, be who they are, and eventually, like me at age 44 now, they'll find their way through it all.
Yeah, so it sounds to me that when you were making out that yes pile, it was less about professional experience than it was about their character, or maybe just some of the qualities, some of the ways that they spoke about, why they want to do this.
Sort of. I mean, character would be hard to determine from just the application materials, but it was really about what we do as a press, historical fiction, literature. I got a lot of applicants that have degrees in other academic areas. So that was an easy way to filter things. And a lot of young readers are more interested in fantasy and magical realism and those kind of genres, romance. So that was an easy filter as well because there's a much fewer that were interested in historical fiction. I'm also looking for applicants that I feel like I can have an impact on. I'm not just looking for someone that can give and give and give and contribute, and I want to be able to give back to them and make sure that they have a beneficial experience from working with us as an intern.
Okay.
Um,
So what do you got it down? How many people you got it down to now?
I have 4 more interviews on Monday and 2 on Tuesday, and then I'll decide from there.
You
I,
haven't
and
had
I
any no shows on these, have you?
no shows, and I did ask as well if they'd be if I'm not able to give them an internship, if they would be a volunteer reader, because right now we have about 200 submissions to get through, and I will take as much input as I can get on those submissions, and so I might invite some of them to do that if they're interested.
Hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea.
I want to say hello to Natalie. She just joined us. Swapna did have a question for you, Brandon. I'm
Okay.
just reading it now in real time, so we'll see. Based on your work, what advice would you give an author about how to think about writing as a career?
I mean, I would say I would envision the end and work backward. You know, what do you want to be as a writer? What do you really what's that vision? And maybe you set it out 10 years. You know, where are you going to be in 10 years? And you set that vision, that kind of audacious goal that inspires you, and then you scale back. You say, okay, now in 5 years, what am I gonna be? And from there you can start thinking, okay, but what do I strategically need to do to get there? And then I'd go back even further and say, okay, in 1 year, what is my goal for this year? You know, right now I'm, doing this, but by this time next year, I want to have published a short article or whatever it is, and then say, okay, what steps do I need to take right now to help me achieve that? So I guess that's what I would do is I would think big picture at first, but then go backwards and what are the concrete steps I can take starting right now? And really I suggest you review that about every 3 months to say, okay, the last 3 months I've been working hard on this focus. Now what's the next thing I want to focus on?
How do you balance reality versus ambition?
Well, I mean, with nonprofit leaders and church leaders and stuff, it's that reality that it just tears you down because there's the tyranny of the urgent. So there's always stuff that's coming at you that it feels like you got to deal with right now.
Did you just make
So
that up?
I got it from somebody. I stole it somewhere. I don't know. But what I've read and what I believe in is you always want to keep about a 20% of your focus on that overarching vision. So it's fine. You got to deal with the day to day. 80% of your time can go to that, but always keep in mind that 20%, that slice of time to go toward the bigger vision. And yeah, I mean, you want to be practical and realistic, but at the same time, you also want to think big. Like, that think jumping out of the airplane type of ideas and go for it because I mean, you only got one life. What do you got to lose? So
So why is this something that you're passionate about, that you're willing to invest your time and resources in?
um well, I ran an animal shelter, and there's no greater example of something where just stuff gets thrown at you constantly. The washing machine breaks down. Some dog has horrific diarrhea. There's a bite incident, all kinds of stuff that you can't ignore. But I saw the power of having a bigger plan, a bigger vision, and creating steps to work toward that vision and doing it one day at a time. When I started at the animal shelter I was at, it was in a terrible place, possibly gonna have to close the doors. And we turned things around, and that was hugely due to the plan that we made and carrying that out one day at a time. So then over time, I felt like I am pretty good at seeing that bigger picture, at facilitating. I'm good at running meetings, and so it all just kind of came together to say, hey, I can do this as a consultant, and I enjoy doing it.
I'm getting a little envious. I was warned by Melissa that you might supplant her and take her spot. And you might take my spot too, because we got another question and it's for you. Uh,
Melissa sounds pretty insecure.
well, if you didn't tease her the way you do, she wouldn't be.
Excuse me. I think that mostly comes from you. But all right, let's see. What's the next question?
Okay, Lisa, she asks, does your strategic planning also involve the financial aspect of a nonprofit?
Well, you really can't get around, that because I mean, you have to have money to do to carry out your projects. But um, the funding is an outcome of the work that you do. So there's a temptation to make a plan and say have all these kinds of financial goals, but I really kind of advise against that because if you're doing all your other things right, your programmatic things, um, your policy and procedure governance type things, your outreach and marketing. Yes, you do still need to have financial strategies and plans and stuff, but when you do all those other things well, the financial side is an outcome. The money comes in as a result of being smart and wise on all those other areas of your organization. Um, but then you can kind of get into budgeting, and of course, you always want to be thinking ahead about, okay, if we're going to implement this strategy, we're going to have this in the budget. So those do need to correspond. At the same time, just like with your business, I have had many, many lean years. Every budget I ever make is in the red, which means negative. And you just got to roll with it, and
It
which
sounds
is
a little
great.
like Field of Dreams. If you build it, they will come. He
Yeah, a little bit. There's no dead guys involved, but yeah.
uh Well, he spent
Well,
all his family's money, and they had. I mean, a part of that movie was all the financial hardship, and he was like, just hold off. I've
yeah,
got a
for
vision.
sure. Yeah. So do you want to talk about your working writer project?
Uh, Excellent transition. Yes, Brandon. I did not bring that up beforehand at all. Thank you for asking. Um, well,
Well,
it's a
well, I'm going to let you go, but yeah, I mean, you've told me a little bit about it, this writer community, but I still can't like conceptualize exactly what that means.
Sure. Well, I think it relates a little bit to what you were just talking about because we are currently, Melissa and I are putting it together, and we can't really consider, we have to first consider the community itself, what we're creating, and the financial elements of it will follow. But when I hosted a conference in March, the community engagement was incredible from the people in person, from the people that attended virtually. Just so much encouragement for each other, so much accountability, so much inspiration. Everyone was learning from each other. I had several one-on-one conversations that really helped these authors to further what they're doing. And in fact, last weekend I was at a writer's house for a little mini writer's retreat, and like what I was able to do in real time was so much more productive than emails back and forth or just sending some kind of a report. As you know, most writers work alone. They work in their office. They're at the library. It's mostly a singular endeavor, and that can be challenging when it's such a huge endeavor. Think of running a marathon, for instance. A lot of marathon runners will join runners groups so that they have people to run with and keep some kind of a social element and be able to connect and talk over what they're going through and get encouragement that way. So with the working writer, since we can't get together every couple of days for a new conference. As fun as that would be, it's just not possible. We all have so many other things going on. But because of this amazing tool of the internet, we can get together online at any time from any place in the world. And what we're building is a space that is structured around writers and around community. It will involve getting together online for writing sessions, and I've actually joined the London Writers Salon, which is a similar platform where there's about 150 people that come on Zoom and say, "Hey, what are you guys writing about today?" And it's just kind of a few minutes on the chat where people say, "I'm writing about this and I'm working on that." And then you sit down and you write individually, but you can still see each other on the screen, and you kind of get to know these people and what their projects are and what they're passionate about. And it's helpful. It helps you to actually sit and write. It has helped me to not get distracted by some email or TikTok or something like that. And so I'm actually sitting and writing for an hour. It's just very encouraging. So that's one element of it. But we're also building in other elements. So Melissa and I have a lot of experience in publishing and book marketing. We're going to be sharing those things through craft talks. We're going to be inviting some of the people that we know that we've met over the years in this industry so that they can talk about their whatever their expertise is in publishing and writing. And we're going to provide areas for accountability. Like this is my writing, like you were talking about earlier with setting goals. There'll be a space for you to set those goals and actually track where you're at and track each other so you can hold each other accountable. And then finally, one of the biggest challenges for independent authors is finding your audience and marketing your book. And doing that alone is like crickets. You send stuff out and you don't hear anything back, and it's scary and it's frustrating. But if we can have these authors working together, find a good partner, find a good co-marketing group, something like the Paper Lantern Writers, for those of my audience that are familiar with them, we want to provide a space where you can find someone who's writing a similar genre, who's in a similar place as you, and you can actually work together to share each other's audiences and build your platform with someone.
Wow, that was a lot of words.
Uh-huh.
But no, that sounds really cool. I do have to go back and point out some irony here that you were
Okay.
in some kind of London salon, which
Uh-huh.
is clearly a traditional salon is completely useless to people like you and me.
Well, that actually goes back to the intellectuals used to meet at it would be salons.
Okay. Like
Um,
C.S. Lewis and them, those writers guys.
yeah, well, for my thesis, these guys called the generation of 1837. That's one thing they would do. Um, yeah, intellectuals used to get together and have meetings of the minds, kind of like Mensa or something like that. It was called salon. Salon means more than one
I
thing.
know, I know. No, but and I would reiterate the helpfulness of the accountability. I'm in a nonprofit leaders group called the Leaders Circle, and we'll share things going on, and then we'll make an action plan, just a quick action plan. So then next month, they're going to ask you, "Hey, how's it going on this? How you doing on that?" So it gives you. Yeah, just a little bit of impetus to be like, I got to work on that because they're going to ask me about it.
Well, we just have a couple more minutes, so I guess I want to give you the opportunity, if you did strike a chord with anyone in our audience, where they can find you. And I would be remiss if I didn't ask you to at least mention the faith element of your business as well.
Well, yeah, again, my business is Mustful Strategic Consulting. You can just Google that and find it. And my logo has a cross right in it. So, I started it after a lot of prayer. Um, and I just feel like, if God wants to use me in that way, then he'll use me. And I definitely want to work with churches. I've done a little bit of work with churches, but that's a slow process. And so yeah, again, I'm open to working with whether it's nonprofit, church, for profit. I've worked with public agencies, the local fire department here. I've worked with them too. Anybody that has a vision and needs a little help getting there. And as you pointed out, I guess I helped you too. I can't. Again, I feel like I just asked you questions, but that goes back to I've been doing some motivational interviewing training, and you can't tell somebody like, "Hey, this is what you should do or how you should do it." Everybody needs to decide that for themselves. So.
Mhm. Well, thanks for being a sit-in for Melissa. You've done a great job. We'll reevaluate things to see if maybe we can give you a permanent spot and Melissa can find something else to do.
Okay, but let's remember it goes both ways. Like I have to want to to continue to no.
Ouch,
No,
ouch.
it's been great. And I'm grateful for the time and for anybody that is viewing this or will view it. I just hope that it's beneficial to you.
And we'll be back with office hours in 2 weeks. So that'll be Friday, July 24th, hopefully with me and Melissa. But you've seen we've had substitutes for me as well. And that look for more information about the working writer. It's called. Melissa and I are going to be launching that soon. And also, I am teaching a workshop on Friday the 17th. That'll be at 12 p.m. Central. And that's about writing your novel. Like if you are in the midst of how do I get through this thing? How do I finish it? At your 30,000 words in, you don't know where to go next. I'm going to talk about that, and that'll be available. The link is now available on my Substack for paid subscribers. It's also on Eventbrite if you search History Through Fiction on Eventbrite. All right. Well,
Cool.
thanks everyone for joining us. And thanks again, Brandon, for sitting in.
All right. Have a good one.
Bye.